You don't have to change your life in one massive leap. You only have to move one small step closer to who you can become. Most people get stuck because they look at the mountain instead of the next stone beneath their feet. They compare where they are to where they wish they could be, and that distance feels unbearable. But progress is not measured by how far you've gone. It's measured by whether you move forward today, even if just by 1 inch. The truth is, greatness hides in the small, ordinary moments that no one celebrates. It's in the decision to get up 10 minutes earlier, to read one more page, to make that call you've been avoiding, to take that walk instead of complaining. It's not about perfection. It's about direction. Because when you focus on improving yourself just 1% every day, life begins to unfold differently, quietly at first, then powerfully, like a sunrise that starts as a whisper of light and ends in brilliance. Every small decision you make carries a silent power. It builds your habits, and your habits build your character. You can't plant seeds of laziness and expect a harvest of success. You can't spend your days waiting for motivation and expect growth to appear. You build momentum by doing something today, no matter how small, that your future self will thank you for. Maybe it's saying no when you'd usually say yes to distraction. Maybe it's showing up when it's easier to give in. The magic is not in what you do. It's in the fact that you do it again and again. Because that's how character is shaped, one small act of discipline at a time. The reason most people never grow is because they chase big change instead of small consistency. They wait for a perfect moment, a spark, a sign, something that tells them they're finally ready. But you don't need permission to start. You just need to take one step today. 1% improvement may look like nothing in the mirror, but it changes everything inside you. It rewires your confidence. It teaches you that you are capable of keeping your word. It gives you evidence that you can trust yourself, and once you trust yourself, the world starts to trust you too. Small progress strengthens the belief that you are not stuck, you are simply in motion, and motion is enough. Most of the world celebrates big wins, promotions, transformations, milestones. But the real victory is waking up on the days when you don't feel like it and choosing to do the work anyway. Growth is often quiet. No one claps for you when you say no to procrastination. No one sees when you turn off your phone to focus. No one cheers when you eat better, think better, or breathe deeper. But those moments build you. They are the invisible bricks that form the foundation of the person you are becoming. You don't need validation for your effort. You only need to know that every small step counts. If you look closely, every great success story is built on small, daily improvements. The musician practices scales until they become second nature. The writer writes a paragraph when they don't feel inspired. The athlete runs one more mile when they could stop. Growth doesn't announce itself, it accumulates. That's the secret. The 1% you add each day compounds into a version of yourself that once seemed impossible. It's not about being the best today, it's about being a little better than you were yesterday. Over time, that 1% becomes your identity, not a task you do, but a person you are. And when you begin to live with that mindset, you stop chasing motivation. You stop waiting for the right mood. You realize that every day offers an opportunity to contribute to your own transformation. Even when life is heavy, even when you're tired or uncertain, small progress keeps you alive inside. It gives you direction when you feel lost, hope when you feel weak, and meaning when things seem meaningless. Because no matter how small, progress reminds you that you still have control over your story. 1% may sound small, but it's not about numbers, it's about belief. It's about knowing that today matters. That this moment, this hour, this single act of effort can start a ripple that will touch the rest of your life. You don't need to win the entire race today. You only need to take one more step in the right direction. Life rewards persistence more than speed, so keep moving no matter how slowly. One small step each day is not just progress. It's proof that you are alive, aware, and growing into your full potential. Because one day you'll look back and realize it was never about massive leaps or dramatic breakthroughs. It was about those small, quiet victories. The mornings you didn't quit, the nights you kept believing, the moments you whispered to yourself, just 1% better. And that's how transformation truly happens, not in a single explosion of change, but in the steady, faithful rhythm of becoming. Your habits are the quiet builders of your destiny. They don't shout, they don't ask for applause. They simply shape who you are becoming every single day. What you do repeatedly, even when no one notices, becomes the story the world eventually reads about you. It's easy to think that our future depends on some big decision, some once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But the truth is, our future is being written right now in the smallest of choices. The way you spend your mornings, the thoughts you feed your mind, the conversations you entertain, they all form the invisible threads that weave your destiny. You don't stumble into greatness, you create it through repetition. The habits you live by today are designing the person you'll be tomorrow. The world loves to glorify success, but often forgets to mention the habits that made it possible. People will see the achievement, but they'll never see the quiet discipline that built it. They'll see the strong body, not the early mornings. They'll see the confident mind, not the countless hours of study, struggle, and doubt. Habits are like seeds. You plant them once, but they grow every day, quietly underneath the surface. And if you plant good ones, gratitude, consistency, learning, patience, life will reward you in ways that will feel like magic. But if you neglect those small seeds, if you allow laziness, fear, and doubt to take root, you'll find that your own habits can quietly destroy the very life you dream of having. Every action you repeat becomes a message to your subconscious mind. You are teaching yourself who you are through your habits. When you skip your responsibilities, you tell yourself that comfort is more important than growth. When you keep your promises to yourself, you teach your mind that you can be trusted. Over time, that trust becomes confidence, and that confidence becomes strength. Most people think success is about motivation, but it's not. Motivation is a spark. Habits are the fire that keeps burning when motivation dies. You won't always feel inspired, but if you've built strong habits, you won't need to feel inspired. You'll simply act. Habits are powerful because they replace thought with rhythm. Once a good habit becomes part of your daily rhythm, it carries you even when your emotions try to pull you backward. That's why you must be intentional with your routines. Every day, your habits are either building you up or tearing you down. There is no neutral ground. You're either preparing or decaying. You're either feeding your dreams or feeding your doubts. And most of the time, it's the small habits that make the difference. The choice to read instead of scroll, to reflect instead of react, to take action instead of waiting for the perfect moment. Your habits are the unseen companions that follow you everywhere. They walk into every room before you do. They shape the energy you carry, the way you speak, the decisions you make. When you cultivate good habits, life feels lighter, more in flow. You begin to move with purpose instead of pressure. But when your habits work against you, even small tasks feel like mountains. You feel heavy because you are carrying the weight of procrastination, avoidance, and inconsistency. The good news is, you can always change your habits. You can always rewrite your story. Change doesn't demand perfection, it only asks for repetition in a new direction. When you start changing your habits, you'll notice something powerful. Life will begin to align with your effort. Doors will open that once felt locked. People will show up who mirror your new level of energy. You'll begin to attract what matches your behavior, not your words. The universe responds to rhythm, not wishful thinking. If your daily habits say, "I am committed," life will give you reasons to keep going. If your daily habits say, "I am inconsistent," life will give you distractions that keep you stuck. You don't get what you want, you get what you practice. Habits are not built in a day, but they are built daily. The first few days are hard, your mind resists, your body complains, but if you keep showing up, it gets easier. The habit starts to take over the resistance. Suddenly, what used to feel impossible becomes natural. That's the quiet power of repetition. It trains your brain to prefer progress over excuses. And that's when life starts to feel different. You begin to respect yourself again. You start trusting your own word. You stop chasing motivation because you've built momentum. It's not about doing everything perfectly. It's about doing the right things repeatedly with purpose. The person who reads 10 pages a day will know more than the person who waits to read the perfect book someday. The person who takes a small step daily will always be further ahead than the one waiting for the perfect plan, because habits don't care about your feelings, they only care about what you do. Every day ask yourself, what are my habits saying about who I'm becoming? If your habits are not aligned with your vision, it's time to change the pattern. The smallest shift can create the biggest transformation over time. One day, you'll wake up and realize that your habits have created a life you once only dreamed about. Not because you were lucky, but because you showed up again and again. For the person you were becoming, your habits built your destiny, one quiet decision at a time. Discipline is not a punishment, it's the purest form of self-love. It's the quiet promise you make to yourself that says, I deserve better than my excuses. Most people misunderstand discipline. They think it's about restriction, control, or living without joy. But true discipline is the opposite. It's freedom. It's the kind of freedom that comes from knowing you can trust yourself to do what you said you would, even when no one is watching. Discipline doesn't take away your life, it gives you one. It gives you the power to rise above your moods, your laziness, your fear. It allows you to become the master of your own mind instead of being ruled by it. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you cast a vote for your future. Every time you push through when your mind tells you to quit, you prove to yourself that you're stronger than your feelings. Because feelings are fleeting, but discipline is built on truth. And the truth is simple. You are capable of so much more than you think. But capability means nothing without consistency. It's not about doing it once, it's about doing it especially when it's hard. That's when it counts. That's when you separate who you are from who you were. The beauty of discipline is that it creates quiet confidence. You stop needing to tell people your plans because your actions speak louder than your words. You stop needing to seek approval because you know what you're building. When you live with discipline, you stop chasing the next high of motivation because you've built a foundation that doesn't shake when your mood does. Motivation fades. Discipline stays. It's what keeps you moving on the days you don't feel like it. It's what whispers, keep going, when everything in you wants to stop. Discipline is love in disguise because it asks for sacrifice now so you can receive freedom later. The person who practices discipline today will walk freely tomorrow. The one who avoids effort today will carry regret later. You can't escape the pain of life, but you can choose which kind you want, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Discipline hurts in the moment, but regret hurts forever. That's why you have to learn to love the feeling of showing up, even when it's uncomfortable. Because every uncomfortable act of discipline builds resilience. It teaches you that you can handle discomfort, and that realization changes everything. You begin to see that discipline is not your enemy, it's your protector. It guards your goals from your weaker moments. It stands between you and the chaos of inconsistency. It reminds you of what matters when distractions try to steal your focus. It's the quiet guardian of your dreams. And though it doesn't always feel good, it always feels right. When you honor your word, even in small things, you start building inner strength that can't be taken away. You start to respect yourself, not because of what others say, but because of what you know you've done. There's a deep peace that comes with discipline. It's not loud, it's not exciting. It's calm, steady, and unshakable. It's the peace of knowing that you're not betraying yourself anymore. It's the quiet pride of looking in the mirror and knowing you've earned your own respect. That's what most people are missing. Not motivation, not inspiration, but self-respect. And self-respect is born through disciplined action. Every small task you finish, every promise you keep, every challenge you face head-on adds another brick to the foundation of your confidence. Discipline is not about perfection, it's about direction. You will fall, you will fail, you will make mistakes. But if you stay disciplined, those failures won't define you. They'll refine you. Discipline teaches you to get back up, to keep going, to try again with a stronger heart. And over time, something incredible happens. You stop running from hard things. You start to seek them because you know that on the other side of effort is growth, and on the other side of discipline is freedom. When you live a disciplined life, you stop being controlled by the chaos around you. You stop reacting to everything and start responding with purpose. You move differently. You think differently. You begin to operate from strength, not emotion. And that's where true power comes from. Discipline becomes your anchor when life gets stormy. It reminds you that you don't need perfect conditions to move forward. You only need to keep your promise to yourself. Every act of discipline is an act of faith, faith that your effort means something, that your future is worth fighting for, that your dreams deserve your consistency. Discipline doesn't guarantee success overnight, but it guarantees growth every day. And growth over time becomes success. So when the temptation to give up whispers in your ear, remember that discipline is not punishment. It's the greatest act of self-care you can give yourself. It's the quiet way of saying, I believe in my future more than I believe in my comfort. Because in the end, discipline isn't about forcing yourself to live a certain way. It's about freeing yourself from the limitations of your past. It's about becoming someone who doesn't wait for the perfect time because you create your own time. It's about choosing the hard thing today so that tomorrow you can live with pride instead of regret. Discipline is love. It's commitment. It's the daily decision to rise even when no one is watching because you know deep down that you're becoming someone unstoppable. The smallest effort compounds into transformation. That's how life works, quietly, invisibly, but always faithfully. Every small step you take, no matter how insignificant it feels in the moment, begins to gather momentum. One small choice, one small action, one small moment of courage, that's where change begins. People often wait for a grand opportunity or a massive breakthrough to turn their life around. But transformation rarely arrives in loud moments. It shows up in the silent ones, when you choose to do something small that most would ignore. Because what feels small today becomes the foundation of something extraordinary tomorrow. A single page a day may not make you an author, but a year later, you've written a book. One workout may not change your body, but months later you stand taller, stronger, prouder. One act of forgiveness may not heal your heart instantly, but repeated daily, it sets you free from the weight you've been carrying for years. Small efforts compound, they multiply, they build invisible progress that eventually becomes visible. The power of compounding is nature's quiet miracle. It rewards the consistent far more than the intense. The world teaches us to chase intensity, to go all in, to do everything now, to make a huge change overnight. But that kind of fire burns fast. The flame of transformation doesn't come from explosions. It comes from steady sparks. It comes from the one who keeps showing up when no one's watching. The one who builds a little progress every single day. Who doesn't rush the process but trust it? That's how small effort becomes unstoppable energy. When you add one good decision to another, when you build one strong habit upon the last, your life begins to shift in ways that surprise you. Think about it. Even nature works this way. A tree doesn't grow in one storm. It grows quietly, day by day, reaching for the light, strengthening its roots through every season. And one day, it stands firm enough to weather anything. You're the same. The small things you do daily, the words you speak to yourself, the way you handle challenges, the kindness you show, the discipline you keep, they are growing your roots. And when the storms of life come, those roots will hold you steady. The beauty of compounding effort is that you don't always notice it working. In the beginning, it feels slow. It feels invisible. You may even doubt if it's working at all. But that's because real change happens beneath the surface first. Just like the roots of a plant, your growth starts deep within you. In your mindset, your attitude, your beliefs. And when it finally appears on the outside, everyone will call it sudden success. But you'll know the truth, it wasn't sudden. It was small, consistent effort multiplied over time. The smallest effort you give today creates a ripple effect that touches every part of your life. When you improve one area, it strengthens others. When you decide to wake up early, you start the day with control. When you control your morning, your day improves. When your days improve, your life transforms. That's how it works. Small choices create large consequences. The problem is we often ignore the small because it seems too simple. But simplicity is power. The small effort you make when it's easiest to quit, that's the one that changes everything. Transformation isn't a single act, it's a series of small victories. The decision to keep going when you don't see progress. The choice to stay focused when distractions surround you. The quiet promise you make to yourself when nobody else believes. Those are the moments that matter. They are the seeds of greatness planted in ordinary soil, watered with daily effort and grown through patience. Every small act of consistency is proof that you believe in your future, even when it hasn't shown up yet. That kind of belief changes your energy, your perspective, your entire life. You have to understand that effort compounds whether you realize it or not. If you give small effort daily toward growth, the results accumulate. But if you give small effort daily toward avoidance, the damage accumulates too. Every lazy moment, every missed opportunity, every day you choose comfort over purpose, those compound too. The question isn't whether you're compounding, it's what you're compounding. Because everything you do, every habit you live, every thought you entertain adds up. And one day the total becomes your life. The secret is to honor the small steps. Don't dismiss the little things. The way you talk to yourself matters. The way you treat people matters. The way you spend your hours matters. Transformation is hidden in those details. It's not about changing the world in a day. It's about changing the way you show up in your own world every day. That 1% effort, that small push forward, that extra minute of focus, that's where the miracle is. One day you'll look back and realize that your transformation didn't come from one big moment. It came from thousands of small ones that built upon each other, quietly and faithfully. Each time you kept going when you didn't feel like it, each time you made the harder choice, each time you gave a little more, you were compounding strength, resilience, and character. You were becoming the person capable of handling the life you once dreamed of. That's how the smallest effort transforms everything. Not suddenly, but surely. Not loudly, but completely. Don't chase perfection, chase consistency. Perfection is a trap, a silent thief that steals your peace and freezes your progress. It tells you that if you can't do it flawlessly, it's not worth doing at all. And so you wait for the right time, the right plan, the right feeling, while life quietly passes you by. But consistency doesn't demand perfection. It only asks for presence. It asks you to show up not perfectly, but honestly. Because it's not perfection that builds change, it's repetition. It's not the flawless moments that shape you, but the imperfect ones you refuse to give up in. Perfection is heavy. It demands that you always get it right. Consistency is light. It only asks that you keep going. You don't have to do everything. You just have to do something every day in the same direction. The truth is, progress doesn't care if you're perfect. It only cares that you're moving. The most successful people aren't the most talented. They're the most consistent. They've simply mastered the art of showing up when others quit. They understand that effort, repeated daily, becomes excellence over time. One imperfect step each day creates more change than 1,000 perfect plans never acted on. You don't need to wait to feel ready. Readiness is a myth built by fear. You become ready by starting. Every day you delay, you strengthen the voice that says, I can't. Every day you act, you strengthen the voice that says, I can. Consistency rewires the mind. It replaces hesitation with habit. It turns effort into instinct. Over time, what once felt difficult becomes natural. What once felt impossible becomes effortless. The power of consistency lies not in speed, but in endurance, in your ability to keep walking even when the path feels long. People often overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can do in a year of steady effort. One day of progress may not show in the mirror, but a year of showing up will transform everything. Consistency compounds. It turns small effort into massive change. But it requires humility, the humility to do simple things well, to stay patient while results take time. Because real growth is not loud, it's quiet, invisible, steady. You don't see it daily, but it's happening beneath the surface, shaping your strength, deepening your character, preparing you for what's coming. Perfection will always whisper that you're not enough, that it's not the right time, that you should wait until you feel certain. But consistency says, start now, use what you have, do what you can. It teaches you that motion is more powerful than hesitation. You can correct mistakes, but you can't correct inaction. Perfectionists stay stuck because they spend their lives trying to make the first step flawless. The consistent person takes the steps, stumbles, learns, and grows. And in that process of falling and rising, they become unstoppable. Consistency doesn't mean you never fail. It means you never stop trying. Some days you'll move fast, some days slow, some days you'll crawl. But as long as you move, you're winning. Because every time you show up, you build momentum. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build integrity, and that integrity becomes strength. The point isn't to be perfect, it's to be reliable to yourself. To know that even when life gets messy, you'll still show up for your goals, for your peace, for your growth. The most beautiful thing about consistency is that it doesn't demand motivation. You don't have to feel inspired to act, you act and inspiration finds you. The secret is to focus on the process, not the outcome. Don't chase the feeling of achievement. Chase the habit of effort. The results will come naturally. The person who trains daily without needing to feel ready will always outperform the one waiting for motivation. Consistency doesn't rely on emotion. It relies on commitment. It's the quiet agreement between your present self and your future self that says, no matter what, I'll keep going. And that's where the magic happens. Because when you're consistent, even without perfection, you start to build trust with yourself. You begin to believe that your word means something. You no longer depend on external validation because your progress speaks for itself. Each small act becomes proof that you are capable, that you are committed, that you are growing. That self-trust becomes unshakable. You don't need to convince anyone of your potential because your actions reveal it every day. Perfection may look good from the outside, but consistency feels good from the inside. It gives peace, confidence, and quiet strength. It doesn't shout success. It whispers self-respect. It reminds you that showing up, even tired, uncertain, afraid, is enough. Because growth isn't about never falling, it's about never staying down. Consistency is what lifts you up again and again until one day you realize you become someone you once admired. When you let go of perfection and embrace consistency, life becomes lighter. You stop fearing failure because you know it's part of the process. You stop comparing because you're focused on your own lane. You stop rushing because you finally understand that slow progress is still progress. You stop doubting because every day you act, you give yourself new evidence that you can. One day, you'll look back and see that perfection was never what changed you. It was the simple act of showing up every day, no matter what. The days you didn't quit, the days you pushed through resistance, the days you gave your best even when it wasn't much, those were the days that built your future. Perfection creates pressure. Consistency creates transformation. And that's what life is about, not flawless performance, but faithful persistence. The daily choice to keep moving forward imperfectly but relentlessly until one day you arrive exactly where you were meant to be.